Shalom. Welcome back. First and foremost, I want to give all glory, praises, and honors to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. I want to give them honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to you, Akim, that's pushing this word in sincerity and in truth. Back with another lesson. And today I want to deal with a video that I saw that really piqued my interest. I'll have the link or maybe a screenshot in post-production of the actual title of the video. But the name of the video was Generational Black Poverty. All right. So there was this podcast. It's about a 40-minute podcast. And you got these Edomites basically discussing generational poverty. And everything they were talking about, as I was listening, was basically them reading the curses from Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. All right. So I'm listening to these Edomites, and they're from the Brookings Institute, right? And they said they have a think tank, and they've been looking at this for years and studying Jakes for years, primarily the Southern Kingdom, of why they're so destitute, and as they put it, the bottom fifth of the so-called economic statistics, right? Why are they so low on the list? These damn devils. And a lot of it, if you end up listening to it, you'll shake your head, because these devils are full of shit, man. They love to use the $1 million words, extravagant language, right? We looked at this and this and this bar graph and this chart, and they have only this amount, and they haven't really made much progress. And they were really telling the truth as far as how in last place you Israelites are, most importantly you Southern Kingdom. And one Edomite was like, it would take them centuries to actually catch up to us. And that's what that devil said, man. All right. But they painted this thing as though they're really looking at this so they can help us. But they really danced around the meat of the topic. Meaning, this is all about, look, we're talking about this because we think we should help them, and we got to figure out a way to help them catch up and really achieve equality, which was all bullshit, because the answers and the answers they gave of to how that matter was things that was already tried before, like housing fucking vouchers, which is nothing more than Section 8, and basically free free college and shit like that. Shit that been tried before. But really, they dance around the elephant in the room, right? One is the curses, and two is that Esau likes you in that position, man. And Esau is such a masterful liar that he'll do something like this and act like he's really concerned, or act like he cares. But really, you're nothing more than a science experiment. You're nothing more than a project. They know and they even said it in this podcast, by ripping up the families, tearing up the families, getting the man out the household. They said that the black woman was more economic viable, meaning she was moved up easier in society as far as economic and income levels. Because when you look at her, you get 2 points if you hire her. When you look at affirmative action, one, she's a woman, and then she's so-called black. So these was all some points that these Edomites was bringing out. And like I said, at the end of the day, they skirted around the issue. When they talked about they didn't really want to touch institutional racism. One guy said he didn't like it because just saying that really don't solve anything. But really, he just don't want it to be put out what they really is. They're not here for our help, man. They're not here to bring you on the same level as them. This is their kingdom, and they'll never just come out flat and say that. But I just want to get a couple scriptures dealing with this podcast. I encourage you to check it out if you're into stuff like that, because it really lets you know the mind of these devils, man, and how slick and arrogant they are if you listen to these devils. This is Psalms 55 and 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Right. So, somebody that's not enlightened and really thinks that this world is for them, and Esau Edom is for them, will listen to this podcast and say, "Oh, they're concerned about us. They want to help us." Similar to here in America, the Democratic Party, which is such bullshit. I prefer, these devils to be straightforward, man. Right? As far as these so-called Democrats and liberals, they'll be in a gated community talking about Black Lives Matter, but call the police if your ass is in their community. Call the police if they see you, walking down the street somewhere. These are those types of devils, man. All right. I once had one of these. This devil was straightforward. Way back in the day, when I had got a degree, right? I got this certificate and this degree in computer networking. To be specific, this was years ago, before I was even in truth. And I had an interview with this devil at this corporation. And a lot of things about computers is basically getting your experience behind you. That speaks volume in computers, having that experience and knowing what to do in certain situations. And this devil told me during the interview, he's like, "I know I could hire you. I could show you the ropes, teach you everything you need to do. All right, set you up, the correct way to handle different calls, to really grow your career." And this devil said all this to me with a straight face. And at the end, he's like, "But you know what? I'm not gonna do that." Which it was a big point for me, because I knew these motherfuckers was the devil. I'm like, yeah, whatever, motherfucker. I knew they was the devil anyway, but it's something that's always stuck in my head to show you that regardless of what you can go out there and learn or get, a degree or specialty in, these devils that run the society and this system really want to keep you as that permanent underclass. That's why I told that story, right? Because a lot of things in the system, a lot of ways you move up in the system is simply about connections. But let's keep going. Hopefully I'm not rambling too much. But I want to get into some of these curses, right? Because if you go back and listen to that podcast, certain things, like I said, he talked about was how the so-called black woman is over the man, how that black man is last, how the households are destroyed, right? How poverty begets poverty. There's nothing to pass on. There's no inheritance to pass on, right? He was like, while he compared to the white statistics, that they have so much more to pass on, while every so-called new black person is basically starting at zero. All right, and they know this, and they want to keep it that way. All right, but let's get into this curses. This is Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shalt thou be thy basket and thy store. And he went into all the numbers and the statistics, regardless of where Jake is in America, right? How, regardless of how maybe how do they put it? How when their fathers or when their grandparents might have gained some traction, but usually the descendants of them would lose it. All right, unlike they were comparing it to the so-called, the Edomite community. All right, so these things are curses, and how these curses work is, Yahweh Shem Shai is allowing the wicked to run the earth right now. All right, he is allowing these devils to keep the status quo, right? For the most part. Deuteronomy 28:17. Cursed shall there be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of the land, increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Right? So they were really focusing on, the economic scenario of Jake from all ages, man. All right, and they were saying their so-called economic mobility rarely would change, and they were following families. They really, like, Esau is a master at studying how to oppress your ass, man. He's studying how to oppress your ass. And at the end of all this podcast, not once did they really recommend, let's say, for argument's sake, they didn't recommend any tangible way to get these people out of it. All right? They didn't acknowledge that they were the oppressor. They didn't acknowledge that, hey, we really like these people in this position, so we do things to keep them in this position. They got studies on, resume studies. One guy could be named Brian. One guy could be named Jamal. Jamal could have way better so-called resume. Have higher degrees, better school, and guess what? That resume wouldn't receive as many callbacks as, let's say, Brian's resume. All right, they did these studies. They do a bunch of these studies, which shows you that the bias in these people are for themselves, man. It is what it is. They're in their kingdom, man. All right, so I'm not up in arms about that, but to hear these devils talk about it in the way that they talked about it was very interesting, man. It was very interesting, and you see how slick certain devils are, man. All right, Esau's a great actor. Let's keep going. Let's go to the book of Haggai 1:6. It says, "You have sown much and bring in little. You eat, but ye have not enough. You drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. Thus saith the Lord, power of hosts, consider your ways." Right. Our people want every answer except the answer of the truth, the answer of the gospel, the answer that God has put forth, which is repent and come back through his son Yahushua, man. Because at the end of the day, the Lord is the only way we're going to get out of this condition. It's not rebuilding Black Wall Street, right? It's not getting economic grants. It ain't going to be through reparations, which they ain't going to never give your ass. You see? It ain't going to be through your free schooling or free lunch program, right? Or Section 8 or whatever these people were, espousing. It's going to be strictly through, the coming back of Yahweh Shem Yahushai and him setting up his kingdom and taking these devils out of their place, because they are not fit to rule. They're not fit to rule, man. All right? Because they've done the research. They've done everything. They looked at every angle of how they have oppressed our people, man. They know the ins and out better than you know the ins and out. So they know your ass is not going nowhere, man. They got Jake in the trick bag. That's why this deliverance is going to be mighty when Yahweh Shem Yahushai comes and does it. Because they're not expecting your ass to go anywhere. Right? And that's pretty much it. Like I said, check it out. It's a decent listen to, right? And E knows, man. E studies us, man. They know every facet of us. They were like even saying that how certain, you might hear people say, oh, they're just lazy. They don't want to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And E in this podcast was saying that, hey, that's a bullshit argument, because they're in such a certain condition and their outcomes are just not the same. Like I said, it's definitely worth a listen. It definitely lets you know that, hey, man, these curses are in full force, and also let you know that he's the ultimate devil, man. He's the perfect devil. But that's the point. I want to give all glory, praise, and honors to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and shalom the next time.